advantage.
Have what they need, 2 sheets of paper, starting on wages, then we'll go into the leadership advantage.
Yeah. Okay. This ad, we're not going for it. We'll concede that there is no internal link. Wages aren't key to the economy, and there's no impact to economic decline, which means that they can't access any offense. We will also concede that there's no Trump lash out if the economy collapses, which means that there is zero chance he'll lash out if hedge declines. He won't even notice because he is in decline denial. This was the conceded lead evidence on the hegemony advantage. Now the hedge advantage, or sorry, competitiveness advantage. Group their first three arguments. Any example of wars that they solved are not true in the world of Trump. I'll answer them each now. First is Russia. Obviously, Trump is not intimidating them. The second is that China is laughing at us because their president had to explain the North Korean conflict to Trump, and hegemony also doesn't solve terrorism because the ongoing wars in Iraq and Afghanistan is what caused ISIS in the first place. They say that they have a bunch of numbers. That is just simply incorrect. She was unable in cross-ex to point to any evidence, and hedge is unsustainable. If we win this argument, they cannot win the debate because U.S. hegemony will inevitably decline. That means that they can't access any of their hedge good offense. A sub-point is U.S. unipolarity, in which the U.S. acts as global police, means the U.S. gets drawn into every conflict. Most recently, Syria and North Korea proved this drains the U.S. military budget, and the U.S. military will be spread too thinly to maintain the U.S. dominance. That's the Montero evidence. B sub-point is especially true because Trump is president. He has no interest in maintaining the global order. His policies, like withdrawing from the Paris Agreement, isolationist trade policies, his statements against NATO, general nationalism, and withdrawal from the Iran deal means that our allies and enemies have zero faith in the ability of the U.S. to reliably provide military protection. The governments of France and Germany have explicitly stated that the international order can no longer depend on the U.S. and they must work together without the United States. As the Clark evidence prefer our evidence, because again, none of theirs assumes Trump. C is that transition away from U.S. hegemony is inevitable and retrenchment solves. Recent failures in Afghanistan and NATO and North Korea prove offshore leadership in which the United States has less foreign military bases but maintains maritime power will still deter conflict from arising. This takes out all their offense because there's a clear alternative that solves the impact. The transition away from hedge now is key to prevent wars in the longer term. Trump is in denial. That was extended on the DEA. That is the Lee evidence. They say that there is no alternative, blah, 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 concern level 0%. This was all above. All of our evidence assumes Trump. None of theirs does, which has radically altered the international order. He is in, quote, decline denial, which means that he won't even notice. And transitioning now spurs peaceful retrenchment and is the only way to guarantee restored credibility with allies. McDonald in 11. There's little evidence to justify pessimism about retrenchment and entrenching states shift into allies to avoid military disputes and contract states that fail to retention effort recover their rank retrenchment is more effective in restoring U.S. credibility and reassuring allies. Now they say that U.S. hegemony is key to prevent war. The Brand's evidence, it's definitely a negative card. A sub-point, it says that hedge decline is inevitable and U.S. military power is insufficient and we control the uniqueness. The only impact in this evidence is that our allies won't trust us. They already don't. That was explained above. And this was also in the cross-sex. The ununderlined parts of this evidence says that the only way to prevent hedge decline is a concerted long-term defense buildup comparable to the efforts of Presidents Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan near the end of the old Cold War. It's laughable to think that Trump is doing this now. Cross-sex proves that they can't point to a piece of evidence that says that he will. Also, our argument is not no U.S. military intervention, but less military bases in countries. Multipolarity solves best. That was also above. And hegemony can't deter irrational actors to prevent Iran nuclearization and causes more terrorism because drone strikes and military bases incentivize people to join terrorist groups. And hegemony is based on an ideological fantasy of U.S. exceptionalism that necessitates advocates permanent war making. You should look at the benefits of hegemony from the outside looking in. Their theoretically scary impacts obscure the real consequences of hegemony. Jackson, in 11, used foreign policies of violent rebellion, one for the war's subjugation against native peoples in Mexico, Spain, the Philippines, the Cold War intervention in Korea, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, Vietnam, Nicaragua, Grenada, Lebanon, Panama, Libya, Somalia, Iraq, Sudan, Afghanistan, Kosovo, and the post-9/11 intervention in Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan, Somalia, Yemen, and Libya. Today, the U.S. has an unrivaled record of foreign military intervention. There is nothing inevitably predetermined about its long record of foreign intervention to maintain this hegemonic position. The necessitates military advantage, which takes a permanent military industrial complex influence over oil domination over the global economic system. These values serve as propaganda for generating support for itself. Military intervention requires wars to reproduce and sustain itself and market at itself. Now they say that offshoring is bad. That was the evidence above. Offshoring is best. Offshoring is best. It says that this evidence also doesn't assume Trump. It says that the reason why offshoring is bad is because allies won't be prepared for conflict. The rest of their arguments were all answered above.